Hi everyone, I'm Johnny, and I am here with singer-songwriter from Norwich, Ben Lawrence. Absolute pleasure to have you here, Ben. Great to chat to you. We're
Great to
gonna,
join you
yeah,
today, John.
no problem. We're going to be talking about Ben's new project, which we have the pleasure of helping support through our patronage scheme. But first of all, Ben, could you introduce yourself to everybody?
I'm Ben. I'm a musician and filmmaker from Norwich. I spend most of my days actually working with young people and churches in my other jobs as a youth worker at Youth for Christ and a filmmaker at a local church. And then in my spare time, I write music and make music and make the odd film as well. And yeah, I just love to be creative. It's kind of my biggest passion is to just find all the avenues of creativity that I could ever do. So yeah, that's
I,
me.
I love it. So, singer-songwriter was probably a massive understatement. So, apologies there. A creative maestro, far-reaching. I should have started with. So, the new project that we're supporting. Can you talk us through that? How it came about, what you're working on, and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm working on this album called Oh Wide World. It'll be my debut album. It's actually the first music that I've put out as a solo release officially. And it's a project that was born out of grief and sadness because it's a project written after I lost my twin brother Dan to cancer. He died in 2016. And I started writing some of the songs for this project basically about a month after he died. And it's taken me about 5 years to kind of get to this point where I'm ready to sort of really put them out there. It was in the kind of the second lockdown phase, sort of early last year, I think, whenever that lockdown
Yeah.
was, and I really felt like actually, you know what, I need to do something with these songs. I think I'd landed with a few other new tracks that I was like, you know what, there's a potential for an album here. Um, and I just started putting them together and realized there was a real narrative and story to be told through the songs. And I thought my music, as well as there's some hard hitting songs on this album, but the aim is for it to be a really kind of honest, raw but hopeful approach to grief from the lens of someone with faith, but someone who's got enough life experience to know that even if you've got all the faith in the world, it's still the toughest thing to go through. And to just talk about that honestly, to kind of open up the conversation. And so, yeah, we've been working on it for the last year or so, and we're now kind of halfway through recording it and finishing it. And yeah, it's coming along.
Wow. Wow. I mean, there's so many things I could ask on the back of that, but I mean, obviously, deeply personal project and probably very difficult, I guess. How have you found creating something that's so raw and personal to yourself? Has it been a case of where you've done most of the processing beforehand and then bringing a product from that for others to help them grieve in similar situations, or are you finding that this is part of your grieving process?
I'd say it's a bit of both, to be honest. And some of the songs on this record, I knew I needed to write, not just because I knew I needed to write them for me, I needed to write them for other people.
Mm,
And then there are a few songs on this record that just kind of spilled out of my mouth
mm,
almost, and were just things that like I had to get out, like whatever it was about or however I was feeling at the time, kind of thing. Like they were songs that I find that with songwriting, I've been songwriting for nearly 20 years now, I
wow.
think. And I've always found that songwriting is a bit of a two-way process for me. Sometimes I'm writing because I really want to make a song that sounds like that and like has, I've got an idea about kind of where I want it to go lyrically, and then sometimes I just sit down with a guitar and it's probably a spiritual experience in that the words just kind of fall into your lap.
Mm, mm,
And that's really true about the title track of the album, "Oh Wide World." I remember I was literally sat here playing one of my guitars one time, and I think I found like a really cool kind of sound, and I was just like, "Oh, that's interesting," and I don't know, I just started singing. I just put words in my mouth, and the words "Oh Wide World" came out, and I was like, I at the time didn't really know what it was talking about, and then it kind of came together over the next kind of 4 or 5 months. It was like, oh, this is a song about kind of like journeying through life and finding adventure in the midst of grief,
Wow.
and and that kind of call to go even when we've suffered
Yeah.
like heartache and pain and that kind of thing. So and that song really, I mean, it's why it's the title track, because it kind of summed up what I was trying to get to, was that like, yeah, I can write a load of songs about losing a brother and grief and pain and stuff like that, but this song is about all of that and shoving it through the lens of like almost that kind of like the God lens of where am I, what am I going to do with that pain and grief? Like, am I just going to sit in it and dwell in it and lament in it, which is fine and good, and we should do that, but am I eventually going to pick up my rucksack and get back on the road and find the adventure again? Like, and this album is the adventure for me. It's part of the adventure. Me and my brother were, we did loads of creative projects together when we were younger. We played in bands, we made films, and we like did all of this kind of crazy stuff together, and I lost that for a while. And this album is kind of like refinding that
Yes.
and getting back to kind of what I know, I think. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of everything.
Wow. Wow, I mean, I've heard some snippets, but after what you've said, I'm even more excited to hear the the final product. Man, you've articulated that really, really well. I mean, just quickly as we close, what timescale are you working to, and what's your plan to roll out the release?
Yeah, so initially we'd hoped to launch a single in July. The song that was going to be the single, the title track, we've actually had to delay because when we were in the studio the last couple of weeks, we just really couldn't. We didn't solve it, and
Yeah,
so that one's going to need a bit more work, and
sure.
and we kind of felt like it really needed that. So we're pushing everything back a little bit. My aim was to try and have the album ready for a full release this time next year. And so we're still kind of hoping to work towards that. We want to put singles and a few EPs out in the run up to it. So it's just trying to find the most kind of sensible way to roll it out, really.
Yeah.
But that's the aim.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Well, Ben, pleasure to receive your email all that time ago, and pleasure to be able to help in our small way towards the project. Really looking forward to it. And if you watching out there would like to support other projects, help us to support other projects like Ben's, please consider giving to our patrons scheme. If you go to our website to the patrons section, all the information is there. But we will hopefully handle your money and just pass it to artists like Ben in different art forms who are followers of Jesus to be able to make art that powerfully engages with people, and like this one will. Brilliant. So great to connect, Ben. See you soon.